Tabletop time.
I'm Dave.
I'm Rob.
I'm Jazza.
And I'm Jen.
We are picking up where we left off in Sunder Chapter 2, where IRONSPIRE chapter. That is how prepared I was to start, which is fantastic. Thank you so much. This chapter is brought to you by World Anvil, the sponsor of our campaign. Let's go around and share our favourite feature, the World Anvil world building website. Go to worldanvil.com/IRONSPIRE. Dave, would you like to start us off?
Well, as a child who grew up reading a World Book Encyclopedia, I am very fond of the timeline feature. I absolutely adore the way that this grounds things in my head. I like timelines. I'm a big timeline maker, so I appreciated it.
So like any good role player, I struggle to keep notes with my campaigns with my friends, and my DM gets very, very bad at me. So there is this lovely journal entry feature where you can write down all your notes and you can save them too and come back to them later if anything important happens.
So can I see yours? If I click on this is the party page.
Yeah.
Is this it?
Yeah,
there you go.
Flames,
Read journal entry. How cool is that?
So I've just put down all the dot points that have happened to Catalina specifically.
This is so cool.
Well, I love it when you're actually playing a session, especially if you're playing online. Your narrator or DM can actually start a session with the party that you've created, and that way it takes the players through to like the game screen, almost like what you've got there.
Well, I can click start session. Boom!
Yeah.
Chapter 2.
There's a way I can actually join your live session.
Go to
there it is.
your-
Enter
yep,
session.
enter session,
Found
yep.
it. And then, yeah, we can see that chapter 2 started. I can see your status update. I was on a page before and even showed me like images that you put up. It's really cool.
That's amazing.
I got access to my character sheet. I love it. It's great. It's all in one spot.
If I had to pick something, it's the maps. I freaking love the interactive maps and the layers. So, like, you can see all of the regions. I've got major and minor towns. So that's my personal favourite feature, especially because I'm a visual person. So having all the shires and stuff divided just makes me very happy. So you can check out our public World Anvil page by going to tabletop.com/Sunder, and you can get your own World Anvil account, any full year paid account, 40% off by going to the link in the description. Thank you so much for sponsoring us, World Anvil. We're going to be using World Anvil through the course of our campaign, but also in this episode as we jump into chapter 2. How about we retell a little bit of our experiences from the perspective of our characters as far as what happened in chapter 1?
Everything's gone to shite, basically. My trade's been ruined, and now I gotta babysit some kid and take her, well, damn, halfway to IRONSPIRE. And I'm glad I've got my big man Brick beside me. But if at the end of the deal I can walk away with him, I'll be pretty happy. I'm not so sure about this lass we brought along, though. She seems to have been tied into the trade, and haven't had a good bit of chance to get to know her yet.
Yeah.
Catalina.
So I entered, and much to the same as the others, my trade also went up in flames. More ways than one. Ah ha ha. I don't joke. So I've also been delegated with babysitting duties to take Medela
Yep.
to her family in IRONSPIRE. And I have met up with Brick and Delvin.
Amazing. Thank you. And then Brick.
Brick is charged with protecting Modela, the littlest one. We will take her to Geldervale.
I think that about nails it. Thank you. Yep.
The eggs were not poison.
Yeah.
If you get a chance, go read Brick's journal entries. They are a delight. Okay. So we pick up where we left off. You have been packing up and leaving first thing in the morning. You have a cart that has been provided to you. It doesn't look great. Through the clamour of everyone leaving, it seems that pretty much most things worthwhile when it comes to travelling have already been taken. When it comes to horses, carts and equipment and gear. So it's hard to sort of get things together that you didn't already have on you. But you do have a cart that can be pulled and pushed. No horse to speak of. The cart is loaded up with some fake paintings and some rations, a good amount, maybe a couple of weeks worth of food just to have some spare sort of long-lasting preserved food. And I'm going to maybe assume that, I'll ask, I guess, does Brick hold the Nisian gold things on him that has been assigned by Medela, or does he sort of load them up with the equipment? And
as in her personal effects. Yeah, look, I'll probably tuck them away in a bag somewhere at my waist if that's possible.
Yep, no worries. All right, and we set about with the sky, the dawn rising in the distance, the fog starting to dissipate. It's eerily quiet from a town that has almost become a bit of a ghost town overnight, which was once a thriving trading town as of a day and a half ago. And those that are around are a little too shocked to even speak and react properly. You do pass a few people who are half-heartedly packing, but everyone seemed to rush out. Travel proceeds. I'm going to... Oh, no, I've already
rolled a 2.
I rolled a 2 as far as how travel proceeds. So I've got to, at the very least, point out that the cart is very hard to move. As you travel, though, Medela starts to seem quite distracted by things around her. Every now and then she sort of needs to be, reminded to keep up a little bit, because she seems to be stopping and looking down close to the ground, and she seems, from your perspective, really interested in the things growing. She's from the desert, and the closest she's been to this sort of landscape, well, she's never been close to this sort of landscape, but the closest she has been was Rafton, which was on the edge of a desert.
What's it's a cart, is it being pulled by something?
Everyone's sort of got a hand on it. I'm gonna...
Oh, so there's no livestock?
No
Okay.
livestock, except Brick, who's at the front holding 2 large handles, pulling the cart along. But
Okay, so Brick's mostly pulling it.
Brick's mostly pulling it. But it is the sort of thing where everyone sort of... It's like, etiquette for everyone to sort of just put a shoulder against the cart and give it a shove and take shifts, but there really isn't a lot of pulling that needs to be done when Brick is a giant cart horse.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to... How old's Medela again? She's like 13.
13, yeah.
Okay. So I'm not going to do what I was going to say.
Okay.
What I was thinking was more what you do for like a 5-year-old. So
Okay.
I was going to pick her up and put her on the cart, but she's way too old for that. So
Yeah.
what's got your interest there, girl?
These things, I've never seen them... Well, plants, I guess.
Oh, come on now. Surely there's oases out in the desert. Nice springs and...
I'm from the city. The city is more centered towards the desert. I have been close to the northern river. There is growth, but this is different. It's like stories that were told.
We got some flowers and such. It's much nicer out here than in the barrows if you like green things. But enjoy it. You'll be spending a bit more time here, I think.
Yes. I never liked my aunt. I'd only met her a few times. She was very strict. I hear she's very powerful. That's where we're going, isn't it?
Well, that's right. Someone to take you in's better than none, right?
I hope she can somehow get me home. I would like very much to return home.
You got more family back home?
I don't know, but it's home. I'm not sure if I could ever feel at home in a place like... Well, it's beautiful, don't get me wrong. She looks up ahead. But it's very different. I miss the kiss of the hot sun on my hair. The wind from the ocean.
Can I make a general knowledge check
You can. What were you...
about if I know about Phelan culture and sort of like roughly what they consider adults
Sure.
and stuff like that? It's challenge level.
Challenge level. Ooh, you're great. No, you're...
I'm Barrowan.
Barrowan.
And I trade with Felton, but you shouldn't change it based on my
No,
background.
you're right. I'll say challenge level 3.
2.
Okay. You don't know specifically
Okay.
much about their sort of culture of coming of age or anything like that. But you would assume, based on your experiences, that she wouldn't be considered an adult. Anyone her age would not be near any trade conversations or anything.
Well, I'm going to ask. I'll say, Medela, if you don't mind me asking, how old until you're considered, independent, a woman, so to speak?
Oh, well, Not too far. My father was proud that I was growing into a young woman, as he used to call, but I believe about 3 years away.
Well then, worst case scenario, in a few years you'll be able to take yourself back home.
That is true. That is true. The journey proceeds. The sky is starting to brighten up quite a bit, and as the journey continues, you'll notice that there have been some a couple of people that have passed you, some people on horseback who have been late to the journey. Your movement is relatively slow, especially given that you don't have any horses and Brick is pulling the cart and everyone's sort of pushing it. So it's a fairly slow walking pace as far as like at the march of the journey is concerned. There have been a couple of carts that pass you in the direction of, heading down towards Greydale. But off in the distance, as you near, I'm going to say, it's past midday. You've been journeying for several hours now. Your feet are starting to get quite tired. But scuffling off from the distant horizon, you actually see a silhouette of someone limping, seeming to carry something in their arms. But you can't make out much. Everyone roll a perception check.
Challenge level.
I'm going to scale it based on what the rolls are.
Pew! 3 successes.
Okay, 3 for Delvin. 2 for Brick. 2 for Catalina. So Delvin has one of the better views, even though Brick's sort of at the front, he is sort of in his trudging mode. There is a zoning out that the Phelan Call are used to doing when it comes to monotonous tasks that gets the job done. And Catalina is probably being distracted a little bit by Medela, who might be asking questions about things and is probably more trusting of the woman in the group. But Delvin notices ahead this figure limping towards them, and it becomes apparent to others who start to pay attention, but Delvin notices that it's a man carrying seems to be a child or a person in his arms, and he's getting closer.
Is he coming towards us?
Yeah, it's just travelling along the road in the opposite direction.
Okay. Cool. Oh, well, I guess wait until we pass him. I'm not going to rush up to him. Does he look like he's struggling?
As you get closer, he certainly looks like he's struggling. He's limping, and it's taking a lot of his strength to carry this child.
Okay. How's the child look? How old do they look?
So I'm going to say, by the time you can tell, you'd be within earshot, so you could speak or ask questions. But
okay.
He seems to be gasping a little bit, and you can't see much off in the far horizon, but you sort of getting little hints of silhouettes and things like that. So in the far distance. Yeah. And it's like,
oi, man, you're right there.
Turn around if you know what's best for you.
Why? What's happened?
There's a roadblock. The bandits in the forest got the gist of what happened last night. Everyone fleeing. They saw the opportunity. There's no chance you're going to get through without paying a heavy fee. One I couldn't afford.
And he looks down, and he's been weeping and is holding a teenage boy who seems battered and bruised, but he is much more battered and bruised. They're both
Is that the same kid I almost bought clothes from? That? Oh, okay. Doesn't matter.
Can I ask him for a description of the bandits, and do they match the 2 that I met up with originally?
I am going to roll a destiny roll. 18. It is in your favour. He has quite vivid memories of the people he was dealing with, but from what you can gather, the leader of this group doesn't sound anywhere near as, I'm going to say, incompetent. As on your journey in Catalina, this was chapter 0 for those of you who don't know, this was a Patreon exclusive, but Catalina came across 2 Grey Guard impersonators that she persuaded to sort of help her into town. These sound like more malicious and may not even be part of the same group. Visually described very differently, and also recounted as much more competent and seem pretty nasty from what you can tell.
All right.
That's everything you can gather.
Cool. Great.
What's everyone thinking and feeling about your choices? The man whose name is Barry. I was really confident with that choice there. Barry says,
If I were you and you're trying to get down to the IRONSPIRE, it's going to be the long way around or through the forest, as best as I can tell. All them type have come out on the edges to, well, vulture and pick at the panicking people. But I'm not sure they're any better as options. If I were you, I'd head back to town. That's what I'm doing. I don't know what waits for me there. Oh well, I wish you all the best.
You too, sir.
he wheezes and coughs and just starts limping.
So we're traveling along the river, yeah?
Yes,
At
the
this point?
road is sort of next to the river. And the river is sort of over the river is the forest. So you're traveling on the right side of the river down.
What should we do? We could survey ahead.
Well, I don't much like the idea of getting bothered by no bandits, but we also won't do too well abandoning our cart. No way we can take that through the woods. That said, we got a pretty convincing man here. I'd wager a bit of coin isn't worth a couple of their best men, and I'd wager that Brick can make that trade a pretty easy one if they push come to shove.
From what was described, there was about 30 people. So it's a fairly significant group. You're not even confident that even with Brick, it would be a wise choice to risk. But
But that's the gamble. How much are 3 or 4 of their men worth to him? Because sometimes a fight just ain't worth having when you're taking easy pickings. And if it's, if you're going to lose more than you gain in your investment, what's the point of making the trade? But what do you think? You're the smart one, right, lady?
How far up the road are they?
they're out of clear sight. It's probably going to be an hour or so of journeying before you come across them on the road, as far as you can gather from what this man told you.
I think we should keep traveling until we can spot them and then reevaluate. But I agree with you.
What do you think, Brick?
If Brick wanted to do what these bandits are doing, I would set ambush from the forest clearing with bows and riddle whoever came through with arrows. Brick is big, but many arrows will stop me.
Roll a perception, Brick. 2. You do feel like a small, slightly tightening grasp on your leg.
And I would not want to risk the littlest one. In attempting to get through, much better to take on small Dracalian forest than many bandits.
Well, I don't mind his tactical appraisal, but we might have to unpack the cart and take what's worth taking. Otherwise, we make an offer. We could sell them some... One of us could go forth and make an offer. Safe passage in exchange for priceless Thanisian artwork.
I believe between our skills, that could be possible.
But what's the gap? We could take... If we could convince him the art was worth having, we could travel through with a knife to it. There's your security. Once we're safely through the other side, we can deposit the artworks one by one as we go. And if they make a move, well, one little slip and that canvas is gone. Then where's the money?
I'm going to get you to roll a check. It'll have to be to do with your profession, Catalina. Just to sort of gather what knowledge you would have as far as how important it might be to hold on to the paintings or not.
Because didn't you
art
say
knowledge?
they're worthless?
They're worthless, but they may not be for, among the things that you guys need to sort of figure out. One of
Okay.
them is sort of investigating. I'm not saying that necessarily is the case, but if you make that check, Catalina.
Art knowledge, yeah.
Yep, just an art knowledge check. I'm going to say challenge level 3 for that specialization. Cool. You know that you don't need all of them, but you will definitely need something. At least the most substantial and referenceable, and probably one that imitates one of the more well-known ones to sort of figure out based on style and brushstrokes and really intricate things to maybe at some point in the future identify a forger.
Yeah.
The 2 that I pocketed in chapter 1 from Edgar, are they in this cart or are they on my possession?
All of the fake, all of
Okay.
them are on your possession, and there are a half dozen.
Cool. Okay. Then we can't risk losing all of them.
All right, then. Maybe it's the forest, then. Should we start unpacking the cart?
Yep, let's do it.
Okay. What do you carry? Out of the things that are in the cart, like I mentioned, there are the artworks, there's clothing, there's food and water, there's Phelan gold that was put in there from Edgar, probably to help you on your journey and your expenses.
Definitely the Phelan gold.
So Delvin grabs of those things, what do your characters get drawn
Food
to?
and gold.
Okay.
Food.
You're like, I'll get the sausages.
Yep.
Are the paintings in frames?
Yes, and they're in a crate. They're a large. They're only really realistically carryable by a couple of people at the same time or brick.
What if I take them out of the frames?
And roll them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I'm
based,
happy
on,
to
based on
risk-
your check, I think that is well worth doing. Yeah, you
Yeah.
could certainly
All right,
eliminate that problem.
I'll take them.
All of them.
I'll take all of them.
Okay.
I won't take any food or coin. I will just take the paintings.
Well, that's a mistake.
Catalina steps to the side and sort of pulls out one of her sort of pocket knives and starts sort of cutting away at the edges of the canvas border and rolling them up until she has 6 rolls of forged paintings that she puts
put 'em
with
in
her
my
papers and
bag, yeah.
documents.
Now,
Throwing it out there. Destiny roll on Catalina carrying like a scroll tube or a canvas tube
Okay, yeah,
as
that's
her
fair,
profession
yeah.
that she could put
It's-
him in.
nope.
No, you're going to have to hold them. You're going to have to bind them with whatever ropes are available and I guess keep a careful eye on protecting them.
So in our journey to Felton, obviously I was carrying these paintings in a little thing on my back. Do I still have the thing on my back that I
The
was...
crate that they were in is in the cart. She's taken the frames out of it.
Fuck yeah, I'm going to put that thing on and get as much food in there as I
Great.
can.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Look at you guys putting your heads together.
If-
Bloody brilliant.
If I can fit the food and the gold, I think that's a good compromise.
Yeah.
The gold is the first thing to be removed from the cart,
Yep.
and it is on Delvin's person.
Medela looks worried and she's like, do you not have concerns that water will run dry? And then she second guesses herself glancing at the river. She's like, this is a very different place.
Aye, you might have to boil the water if you get it out of a brackish bit of pond, but other than that, you should be fine. Water's plentiful.
Strange. And yet you treat gold like it is special, rare. I've seen people act very, very odd about our gold.
Well, what do you value back home? When someone buys something, what do they buy it with?
Well, there have been lots of imports. I think color is much rarer where I come from. You know, vibrant display of pigments from different places that we cannot have access to. That is new to us, exciting. Art. I mean, obviously we treasure the
Tunisian imports. I'd be very interested to learn more about the things that you deal in.
She looks sort of sheepishly at Catalina.
I'm happy to teach you, if willing.
That would be wonderful. What can I carry and be of help?
Well,
She's not very built. She's very skinny. She's just like,
I reckon you carry what you need to sleep comfortably. So we need to get you a roll, a bed, and a blanket. It'll be big, but it won't be heavy, so you should be right with it.
very well.
Littlest one, let me bear your burdens.
Yes, it is so.
Now, Brick. She'll never learn to look after herself if you do everything for her. Look at those
But did
little arms like sticks.
She looks really confused at Delvin, like, but what else is he meant to do?
Well, you can carry all my stuff. I'm already grown.
She turns to Brick and says, "You will carry my things first."
Very well.
That's no
But then you may share the group burden, of course.
that's no way to grow up big and strong. But anyway, if you want to end up a little weed, that's fine by me.
Where I come from, some of the little weeds are the most rich and powerful and more learned people among us.
Aye, but you ain't where you come from, are you?
You present a compelling argument.
How much? I say, I'm like, how many times in your life have you seen people get hurt?
I suppose it depends on your definition of hurt. I've seen a lot of people be ruined, destroyed, and torn apart, particularly in how they're respected or not, but there is not much violence where I come from. That seems to be from your cultures.
And how much of that have you seen since coming here?
Not a lot.
Well, that's good then. Let's keep it that way, eh?
Yeah, I think Rafton is a very soft introduction to the northeastern cultures as far as tension goes. Yep. It's the closer you sort of get into any other culture, it's going to get a bit rougher. Particularly Great Owl. Everyone is loaded up and carrying different packs and
Great.
yeah.
I
Well
rifle
equipped.
through. Is there a like sleeping gear?
Yeah, you have some basic mats and rolls and stuff. Everyone has enough to sort of sleep, on a roll and
Okay. Interesting.
What are you pondering?
Just if there's any extra stuff, like is it all just the same, like 4 sets of the same stuff?
pretty much.
Okay. There's nothing else on the cart.
I'm going to make a destiny roll. 13. I'm going to say there is a slightly more plush piece of bedding that Edgar had included knowing your
Sniff that out, and that's the one I take. I sniff that out.
Yeah, Edgar knows that even if it's just like a minorly better one, if he includes that, it keeps you happy. So somewhere he had Pemble pack that and rolled his eyes.
Pemble, you're a gem. May as well have my initials emblazoned on it.
So you're a man of finer qualities.
Aye, no use living a life in discomfort. I did half of mine in that.
That is fair.
Just making a roll for my own sake. Shit. Okay. So off you venture. Mm-hmm. You need to cross the river. You can. I'm going to say make it easier on you. You can use the cart because you're abandoning the cart, so you sort of overturn it, and it's more of a. It's not an aggressive sort of stream. It's more of an early part.
What are we using the cart for?
To cross the river. Yeah. So, because you have to sort of to go around through the forest.
Yeah.
You have to cross the river.
Anything we don't take, I'm going to say I'm going to assume as a trader that I'm going to have some parchment and ink and stuff like that. Yeah. I'm going to write on a piece of parchment, take what you need, refugees or something like that, and then pin it to the remaining supplies that we couldn't take with it and just leave it on the side of the road for the people that are fleeing back to the town. Mm-hmm. And then, we'll proceed.
Push the cart in.
Cool. So you sort of lay out the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, and just have a little thing that says take what you need.
Yeah, cool. I like it. So you cross into the edge of the forest and start delving into the woods. The journey starts to get pretty rough pretty quickly. You start to need to climb over some log and slash down some bracken. And at this point, it has become most efficient for Brick to sort of be at the front and use his Bardache.
That's a good one.
I think they Bardiche was what.
Yes, yes, we have been informed. That it is not a Bardache, it is a Bardiche.
What?
I don't know if that's true. I haven't looked it up.
I only ever have encountered it playing like Diablo 2. So
And I always called it a Bardache.
I always called it Bardache.
I'm going to stick to Bardache.
Bardiche. Bardiche sounds more Brick. Like if Brick was, this is
that's
my
true.
It
Bardiche.
is my pokey-axe thing.
I hate that.
Say Bardiche, Rob.
Say it as Brick.
It is my Bardiche. That's weird.
No,
Bar-
but
roll the R.
Bardiche.
that sounds good for Brick though. It sounds like a weird fantasy thing.
Okay, cool.
Bardiche. That's harder to say.
Yeah.
Bardiche.
All right, we're settled.
I always thought it was a Bardache.
So head.
Whatever it is called, it is good for killing.
Why are you killing these vines? Hop to, man.
I'm going to get. Delvin and Catalina are really going to be the pathfinders in the
Ow.
situation, so to speak, and you're going to have to
Heck
make some
yeah.
general knowledge rolls to see how you navigate. It's going to be difficult. I rolled a 7 in terms of the challenge of the movement. So even if you know the direction, sometimes that direction is blocked by some creeks and
fair.
steep sort of slopes and cliffs and whatever.
Now,
But it's very
can I
dense.
assist? This is a stretch, but because
We've had stretches before.
because these lands are very much like my trade routes. Can I assist
Yeah.
with my merchant vocation for navigating the woods and
Yeah.
in this area?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's
This is
you've
just an
studied
assist to
some
the general knowledge.
Well, and also there are things that had previously been able to be sourced more easily through the woods that you may have had some knowledge of as well.
Okay.
So I'm going to say there is a chance.
Yeah, in this area.
Yeah, give it a roll.
Okay.
This is an assist roll.
This
with
is
your-
my merchant vocation assist.
basically,
these are my
Catalina-
trade routes, people.
Yeah,
It's my roots.
yeah.
And my general knowledge is abysmal, so
Good. You
4
got what,
successes.
+1 win to your roll, Catalina, which is going to have to be a general knowledge check unless there's something else you think would be more appropriate, which I'm not. Actually,
survival or general knowledge. I guess.
I'm going to say survival or general knowledge. I'm going to let you pick.
Oh, general knowledge.
Since you're
Ooh.
Thanisian, I'm going to say.
I like that. Survival's
Yeah.
trudging through. General knowledge is using your wits to work
My
out.
survival is 2.
Using the sun and the position
too.
of the. Yeah.
I get minus for being this.
Oh god, you guys are so bad at
I get a
survival.
minus on everything.
Really?
Yeah,
Ah.
I'm -1 in 5 stats.
I also rolled my persuasion wrong. I was supposed to, not persuasion, perception wrong. I have 8, not 4, but it's
Yeah.
fine. Just letting you know. Anyone who's watching is like, oh, she's rolling. 3, no, 1, 2, 3,
4
successes? Yeah.
+1 is 5. You are very adept at getting through where you need to.
Heck yeah.
Not based on specific, like you haven't obviously traveled through here before, but you understand enough about how the natural growth patterns in forests are, the topography of the land that you might have seen in some maps, and in particular in this case the position of the sun, the direction that you guys are heading in, and the town you're going to. So you quite deftly lead the party through behind Brick, sort of directing him where to go. In the meantime, you also do notice that Medela is harder to get to keep up with everyone because there is so much to notice around here. It is, yes, she mentions that she's sort of been to a couple of those oasis-y things with the palm trees and fronds, but this is like dense forest, like really thick vines and big trees and growth everywhere, really very English in terms of the deciduous trees and some brambles and interesting berries and things like that. So she'll come across a berry, and every now and then I'm going to get everyone to make a survival check, challenge level 2.
I want to. Okay.
Okay. So cool.
3.
Delvin. Yep.
Hey!
Everyone is competent and confident enough with the local plant life and stuff to notice when she's focused on the wrong kind of mushroom, or like one of the berries is a bad berry bush that makes you itchy if you touch it, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So she's finding all of that interesting too. She's starting to be a little It's almost that in feeling she has a safety net and everyone's guidance, she's being more willing to look at and touch things and be called to stop rather than to not reach out, because it's all so new and interesting, and there aren't people. There's not a threat in her mind, especially because you're all her guides.
With my 3, do I spot one that you can eat, like a berry?
For sure.
I'm gonna pop off some berries and be like, chuck her one and be like, there you go, Medela. You can have one of these. They're quite sweet in season. And then pop one in my mouth as well. And then I gesture second-handedly and be like, oh, you two can try them too if you want.
Sure.
Don't know if you've had barrow fruit before.
Sure. I'll eat a couple.
Cool. Eat a couple of berries. Nice.
Great.
Don't eat too many now, or you won't be moving beyond squatting for a while.
And you eat a berry.
Great.
It's a delicious berry.
Awesome. Thrilling.
Wait, or is it? Hang on a second. Let me just. Yeah, no, it's a really delicious
my
berry.
stuff.
Yeah.
Make some good wine, possibly.
Delvin knows where to pick the good berries.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
This is my home, basically.
While we're walking, I want to talk to Medela and say, so because we're going to be looking after you, I think that it would be a good idea for you to tell me a bit more about your, about where you're from.
Very well. What would you like to know?
I just want to know, like, do I know much about?
Not very much. You've seen some illustrations that have been drawn by some Phoenician travelers. You've heard stories, and if there's anything that you would have that others in the party wouldn't have, is more understanding of their culture and the aesthetic. But it's probably of all the cultures, aside from the Coldish, the one that Phoenicians would know the least about. I think Phoenicia is very interested in having more access to Felmore. So there's a lot of new stuff you can learn from Medela for sure. And this is your question.
I kind of want to know more. I'm seeing this as an advantage to learn more about their culture in terms of trade. But I understand she's a child, so she's not going to know very much.
Yep.
But I want to sort of try to persuade her to tell me, like,
what's the valuable stuff?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay. Make a you could assist with your vocation and make a persuasion roll. I'm not going to say she's resistant in particular, but I think that she may not understand certain things. So
that's fine.
I'm going to say challenge level 3.
Okay, so this is art knowledge.
This is the assist. Yep. 2, 3, 4. So you get +1 win to your persuasion roll. Oh, Rob, you and your bloody green bag.
Who gave
doesn't
him
do
the
it down
green
here
bag?
anymore.
Yay!
Yeah. What'd you get?
3.
+1, so 4.
Yeah.
I will.
No, but look, it's not doing it anymore.
It's good.
What?
Yeah, it's not being chromed. He's lost his powers.
Why?
If I do it really close, it does.
Oh, okay.
But like back here, nothing
Is
except
it
for the
sliding?
cable.
So anyway, yeah, you know the questions to ask, and in particular, the vibe you're getting, or some of the answers you can gather, is that the Phelan people are really good at figuring out the utility of natural things. That is how they first built their culture and civilization, and then eventually became very good at discovering where to get the best things. In particular, Coldish gold, which you're aware, is only really traded through the Phelan. But the Dracow horns that are turned into recipes for Phelan glass and for their concrete, their cement, which doesn't really in its form exist anywhere else. It's like a culture secret. Enables them to build huge structures and statues. It's slightly like a dark grey in tone from what she describes.
Okay.
That is something that you know, even though you trade in the arts, there will be Thanisians who are going to be really, really interested in figuring out how they understand how to utilize and farm the horns of the Dracow.
Okay. Do the Dracow get hurt? Like, are they? How do their horns come off? Like, do they just cut them off, or do they have to kill them?
They farm. They have huge Dracow farms. She describes them just like, as far as the eye can see, the fields that have been nurtured to grow the desert weeds that they
harvest. They feed on those, and we feed on the Dracow. They're very
Okay.
well. I say we. Truly, it is the Phalanco that feed on the Dracow.
So they're basically, she describes, they're used as the nutrition source and high protein source for their slaves. And then all their bits, whether it be skin or horns or eye or
Gets rid-
hooves and all this stuff gets utilized in different ways. But it is a very well utilized creature. You
Okay.
know, their milk and their everything.
Do they consider them sacred or just a...
No, they farm.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, they're very unfeeling, it seems, about creatures that can be used for their game.
Great.
Which is probably indicates why she, why hints of some lacking empathy comes out when she speaks to Brick sometimes. She wants his protection, but she also understands that he's more of a Dracow than a person from where she comes from.
Okay.
Moo.
Thanks, bro.
Interesting. Okay. Cool. That's all I really wanted to know.
Okay. So the sun is starting to get a little lower. It's later in the afternoon, but the forest is thinning out a little bit, and you have all really deftly and successfully navigated through the forest, and you start to find sort of patches of clearing and come out on the other side, and you see a path, a road up ahead of you across a river, but there is fairly common knowledge that in the town ahead, it acts as a bit of a bridge to the other side of the river and to the continued journey through to Iron. The town coming up ahead, which you may reach by the end of the day, if not very late, is Felbrook, which Delvin is familiar with from having grown up in it as a very young lad and being kicked out as a boy. At the age of about 7, did you say?
I think it was more like 10, but
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't really matter that much. I was young. I spent all my teenage years in the Barrows.
Do you tell us this?
Huh? I saw you might have context clue picked up that something had happened to me when I was young because of what I said to Medela, but I haven't said it to you
Yeah,
guys.
cool.
All right, there's Felbrook. I knew it would be coming up. Press on. No need to sleep out in the wilderness.
So you're about, from what you can gather, about 2 hours away from Felbrook, and it's in the afternoon. So if you don't have an interrupted journey, you'll get there in good time.
Cool.
But you have an interrupted journey because as you're traveling on the road, you notice a good array of some scattered belongings, and it seems to be that a lot of the people who have gotten through some of them have just sort of run, and every now and then things have dropped, have been abandoned along the way. Almost an entire town has abandoned the city, and a lot of their belongings seems to have been stolen or taken by that group, and then many of them have been traumatized or robbed and been scattering after. So you come across 2 people in the middle of the road punching up, just a husband and wife just at it. Like
Oh my gosh.
They're like really angry at each other, and it seems to have been escalating and escalating, and they're at fisticuffs. Now, normally you might be a little more worried for the woman in the fight, but she is about twice his size and is holding a rolling pin. You recognize them, Catalina, as the baker and her husband from the town, because you've been there a few times and you've visited the
sure.
bakery, so you've
Right.
gotten some of their bread and things like that.
Now,
so
they'd be Graydon descendants now, more than Barrow descendants.
you don't know.
Would that be typical? Because the town was...
It's a mix
The Barrow
in
and
Felton.
people were pushed out of Felton like 15 years ago, or if they resettled.
Your assumption would be most people who have left Felton have enough connection to Greydale to be able to resettle, and they're moving back due to fear of the king and so most of them are more loyal to the Barrowan plight, but in trade and vocation more connected to Greydale. And a lot of them have sort of come out that way. So they're probably a little more Graydon than Barrowan.
I was just trying to work out where it came out in the wash from the Barrowan people being kicked out of there in a scuffle. But after 15 years, I could see how it would...
I'm going to run up to them and attempt to stop them by getting in between them. And then if that doesn't work.
Okay. It's not as bad as it could be. They seem to be too exhausted to fight a lot more, but they're both really devastated. And they're in the middle of, starting to shove each other.
Guys, what's going on?
Don't you bloody well interrupt. I'm dealing with him the way I want to. Now, don't be so rude to strangers. Don't tell me not to be rude to strangers. You know very well you're in the wrong.
All right. Let's just calm down. Everything's fine.
She makes a fine point. I haven't eaten my meal and the town's just there. Can we move on?
He forced me. Let me gather myself. He forced me to leave our goods back with those bastards. Now I don't even have a profession to pick up down in Rafton. Sorry, not Rafton, Fellbrook. I had family there. They were expecting something. I can't contribute. Well, you know what they were taking. They wanted our gold, and we didn't even get any by the time we arrived.
Okay.
So they start bickering.
Cool. I turn to her and say, what goods did you leave behind?
The whole cart. They wouldn't let us take anything.
Right. Where are you expected to be in
Fellbrook. Well, I've got a sister.
Okay.
She owns it. Well, she runs a tapestry and all that. And I was just going to try and see if I could share a shop and resettle. Bloody sick of all this risk and...
Did you say tapas or tapestry?
Tapas? What's a tapas?
Oh, never mind. Come on, can we go now? This ain't our problem.
We're happy to travel with you. I know it's not far, but if we travel in a group...
I tell you what.
Delvin,
Can I just take a moment? I go to Catalina. I'm
Before you pulled away, she goes,
I tell you what, you get me my cart back and I'll sort you out with a comfortable place to stay. I know a few people in the town and I'm certain I could pull some strings. But I'd really like my profession back if you wouldn't mind. My useless sack of a husband isn't willing to help and is a little wimping out and saying all this and that about the king getting cross or whatnot.
Okay, that was a lot. Delvin, do you want to talk to me?
Yeah, it's just a quiet word with you, love, if I could.
Yeah.
Now, let's just step aside over here and I just take a little... What in the God's name, what are you doing?
What are you talking about?
Why are you going up and talking to random strangers? We got more important things to do than this people's bickering.
Yes, but we can't have these people fighting on the side of the road. The people...
We can
freaking
have
out.
whatever the hell we want. That's a good distraction for us to get...
You go on ahead then. And I turn away from you.
whoa.
I'm just like, well, okay, and I'll take me job with me. Come on, Brick, let's take Medela into the town. I've got a plenty good way to get a fine place to sleep, and I jangle my coin purse.
I turn to the woman and I say, I'm really sorry. I can't get your cart back, but let's just get into town. Let's just be
Listen,
safe.
there were only a handful of people left by the time we went through. Way over, I came across a few people who were quite sore and sorry. 20, 30 men, apparently. But by the time we went through, they were looking a little more comfortable. If the man would stand up and be a little braver, we might have held on to it.
Okay, look, let's just head into town first, and then we can talk about your cart.
She looks like really stroppy.
I'm sure your
She
sister
just
really...
folds her arms and holding her roll.
I'm sure your sister really wants to know that you're safe.
I think she wanted to know that I could contribute to the household. No one might. Anyway, she starts bickering with her husband, and you're probably not going to get anywhere. They're not moving anytime soon. She's being really stubborn.
Okay, I say then I'm taking my leave. You are welcome to travel with me for protection, but
The husband follows you. So now you travel for a couple more hours.
Oh, it's hours till Felton.
Yeah, it was a couple of hours. I said it was about 2 hours journey.
Okay. So the husband starts walking with us for like 100 meters.
Yeah.
So 100 meters we go down the road.
So
and I
Delvin's
stop.
up front, Brick and Medela following, and Catalina, who's leaving the conversation, who is now being tagged along by a fairly wimpy-looking man and his berating wife nagging at the back like, you think you can just get away with
She's staying back.
She's following.
Oh, so she's following too.
Oh, so that's all, yeah, real big and strong. You're going to help me. Yeah, the only bloody reason I married were you was you could help me get my shop set up, and this is the...
Okay, I'm going to roll a destiny roll for Delvin.
15.
Okay, so I maintain my cool and I turn quietly and I say, Catalina, nice choice of traveling companions you've decided to bring along with us.
Medela turns to Brick and goes, are they all like this? These people's culture is very strange. Anyway.
Just a quick side note. Can I use my magic without playing if it's a certain spell? Or do I have to play in order for it to work?
No, you don't have to play.
Cool.
No.
Okay,
I'm just going to editing note that out, but just like, because I think I had answered it, but it's better to just play out if that makes sense.
Do you have the spell list?
It was in Discord.
It's in Discord.
All right, well, you're editing this out.
Yep, I can return. I'll select a return
In
point. This is being edited out.
general
Just
chat
mentioning
on the tabletop team one.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You got it?
I sort of look at Medela and I'm like, do you think we should help these people?
Medela looks like, what would, I don't know. Can we trust them?
We can't trust anyone, I've already told you that, but...
Then I think not. I think perhaps if the untrustworthy's problems are bothering us, they should remain their own.
And how much do you
Wise
want to help
words
them,
with
Catalina?
littlest one.
I don't believe that them bickering out in the middle of nowhere is going to do any help to anyone.
No, but I don't really think we can go and take on some bandits.
I agree.
All right.
And I never promised that either. But
I'm going to get everyone to make a general knowledge check. Maybe survival, actually. Survival check. What's your survival?
The same.
Okay, there you go. You
Two
got
successes.
I'm going to say I should have picked a challenge level. Challenge level 2.
Yeah.
All right.
are you on 2 as well?
I literally have negative.
You guys have terrible
Yeah.
survival.
fucking everything.
Oh, I thought you'd be higher.
No.
I think it's a Barrowan thing. I have a feeling I didn't actually... Oh, no, it's just 3 plus int. So I haven't got any. I was like, I think I've got a point because of Barrowan. No.
I'm going to say, you got 2. But you know enough to know that
Ow.
Delvin knows that their volume at this hour may start to become a hindrance when it comes to creatures, which you've come across wolves on your journey back on the trade that you had just returned from. So if this keeps up, there is a continued risk of there
Something
being
happening.
something happening.
Yeah, fair.
But creating a loud target of yourselves.
And she's
unintentionally.
still
The
screaming.
sun is starting to go down. It is darkening. Like
Cool.
And is
that
she still
twilight.
Cool.
phase.
She's still screaming and carrying on.
Yes.
Great.
She has got fortitude. She's sticking at it, and everyone's getting weary of it.
I would like to cast Shift Emotion.
No, first. Okay.
I want to roll for first.
Yeah. So the first thing you need to do is identify emotion. So there's
I
So
see.
this is
Okay.
Catalina has the interesting ability to be able to move and shape and identify people's emotions.
Mm-hmm.
But to do that on the level that it works in magic is sort of like deeper, and you need to sort of be able to see where and what it is
Cool.
to be able to shape it. It's almost like this physical essence in your mind,
Cool.
a spiritual essence you have to reach, but to reach it, you have to know where it is and what it is.
Great.
So you need to roll an identify emotion check. So you use your magic dice, and it's just going to be a challenge of 1. But you
Why
have
does she get
3
magic dice and we get normal ones?
Because she's a magic user, but hasn't told you yet, Rob.
It's a joke about magic dice.
I know. I got it.
Just steamrolled over it.
So is I rolled 10?
So
Does
this
that
is,
sound right?
No. You roll 3.
3. Oh,
Your
the 3
dice
to start
pool
with. Yep.
It's in total for every spell. You don't have any addition. So the way the magic system works, which has not been explained anywhere, so please feel free to not ask questions about it in the comment, but it will be at one point explained. we're just going to incrementally introduce it through the campaign. But there are no additions. You don't add intelligence or combat points or anything. It is just the magic pool you have is from your vocation points you've invested, and then the ability to use are in the skill points, but the numbers of the points you have, they are your dice. So you have 3 dice to roll because you have 3 points in the skill, and then you have a mana pool of 3 because that is the points in your vocation.
Okay.
So you roll 3 dice for a challenge level 1, and because you didn't succeed any of the dice, you still succeed the check, but you lose 1 mana.
Yep.
So 1 of your 3 mana. So you turn to the bickering woman, and you have this ability to sort of sense what is carrying her actions. Why is she motivated? And you sort of feel through, just almost as if you were reaching out and touching her soul essence with your heart and your own soul essence, and you can feel this real sense of wounded disruption. She doesn't know who she is without her cart, and she's just lashing out any way she knows how, which is to bully and intimidate and bicker, but really she feels quite fragile and brittle right now.
Sure.
And you can feel that shape and essence. You've identified that. It has
Cool.
cost you a mana. That is what happens when you don't
Succeed the roll.
Yep.
Yep.
So
Great.
you have 2 points left in your mana pool, meaning you can't then attempt something above a challenge level 2 sort of spell.
Yep.
But now that you have identified the essence, you can shift the emotion, you can amplify or soften the emotion.
Okay.
And there's a few other things, but they're the main ones.
Okay. Let's shift it.
To what?
That's going to be pretty hard.
Yeah, so I'm going to say, so when you shift an emotion, now that you've identified what her core emotion is, if you shift it to something adjacent, the external sort of display of that, then it's easier, like challenge level 1. If it's opposite, if you wanted to make her happy, that would be like a challenge level 3.
Okay.
I'm going to say this is a challenge level 2.
So could you like go, okay, so she's really feeling like crap inside and she's lashing out. Could you like make her just twist her to be just internally depressed? But is that like a lesser shift?
Yeah.
Where you're going, like, instead of pushing out, push in and hate yourself. It's not a friendly thing to do, but it would change the outward behavior. While is that a small shift to just be like you still feel the same way, but you're now not?
I'm going to say with this woman and the intensity of her feelings, I'm going to say it's a 2. If it's a soften, I think
soften's different,
1
right?
would be like reduce the results of what she's doing a little bit. But if you want to shut her up, I'm going to say challenge level 2.
Cool.
It will make her. It will just change the display of her emotions. Now you have 3 dice to roll with, but you have a map pool of 2.
What you picking?
So you can sort of turn down the volume or mute. They're your options.
Let's try and mute it. Let's do it.
All right.
Why not?
Challenge level 2.
So roll 3 dice. Is that right?
Yep.
Yep.
Cool. You got 3.
Crushed it.
All right. So you don't lose any mana. That's how that mechanism works.
Yep.
So basically, everyone's walking down this path, and there's bickering, like, I'd say bickering couple, but really it's the woman walking at the very back of this whole group. Quite a large, portly lady, red in the face, and more exhausted from shouting than walking, and she's been walking all day, but she's not letting up. So you turn around, identifying that emotion, feeling it, almost this essence that you can shape. And how do you, like, if you just flick that switch, which you could, just might be a bit odd. Mm-hmm. So you also, your instinct isn't that you know that you know how to do this. You feel like you're a persuasive person. So you tend to talk people through these things, and you feel yourself shaping that emotion, but you don't know that you're performing magic per se.
Yep.
You know you're uncannily good at it.
Yeah.
I'll probably put it that way.
I'd probably just try and be like, there are people who've lost far more than what you have lost, like, and you need to understand that and be sympathetic. This poor girl that we're with, she's lost everything, and yet you want to complain about a cart. I get it, but there are bigger things going on right now.
The way I'm going to make this work is that the 2 that you successfully got, they are 2 wins on a persuasion roll. So now you roll a persuasion check.
Okay.
With where she's at, challenge level 4.
She got 3.
The
3
second.
successes on 3 dice.
Yeah.
It was 3 successes on 3 dice.
All right, fair enough. I'm still figuring out the magic system, but let's go with it. You got 3 wins. Now it's a persuasion check, challenge level 4. So roll your persuasion check, but you get 3 wins to your roll. So you have to get 1 dice.
Oh, wow. Imagine if she failed this.
That would be funny.
She does not.
I think the main thing is, like, it can't be impossible for you. You know what I mean? Like, it has to be possible for you to fail even though you use magic. But no, you're very, very persuasive. Like, you turn around and it's almost like shivers go down everyone's spine just a little bit because the way you turn around and sort of face her, everyone's bothered and she's large. She looks like she'd be willing to take on Brick. She's not quite that large, but she's,
Give it a go.
big burly woman rolling dough all day and punching the dough and all this stuff. So she's, she's tough.
Rocky music plays
And
while
this-
she's punching every day.
This slender Thanisian art trading girl turns around and, well, let's role play it out.
You need to stop.
And she starts to argue, but as you use her shaping emotion and stuff, and you back and forth as to, oh, why do I need to stop if he... And you can feel like she's calming visibly, like it's sort of reducing the punch in her voice is sort of reducing to sort of slaps. But basically the magic is working as you sort of describe what you just said about, other people have gone through worse and things like that.
Yeah.
Until eventually she starts to just weep, but nods and it's very, very well.
Did the
I
sudden
turned off the soothing music.
Did the sudden snap of that seem very odd?
It looked really, really competent. Like really interestingly persuasive.
Just a really persuasive person.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm going to say? That you will assume she knows this person or has met or discussed this to be able to turn around with such confidence and for that reaction to happen, because it wouldn't happen with a stranger in your experience. But I will get you to roll a perception check, challenge level 4. Ooh, 3.
3 successes.
Okay. Yeah, that's all you think.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to roll a perception check?
Brick does not care for their petty squabbles, as long as they be quiet and do not throw the tiny furry Darkal.
I'm going to roll for Medela. Perception check. What is it? It's 5. Challenge level 4, was it? Yeah, she doesn't pick up on anything either. Very, very adept persuasion. The sun is almost set.
As we walk into town, I'm going to have a quiet word with Medela.
Yep.
And I just say to her, now you see that couple and the way they behaved before?
I don't think I could miss it if I tried.
Well, if you learn anything from me in this journey, is to never, ever treat anyone like that, no matter who you are or who they are. I got no respect for them.
That is good advice. I imagine it keeps people on your side.
It's not about keeping people on your side. It's about doing what's right, kid. And it ain't right to treat people like that.
I admire your concern for people's feelings. Is it that you are concerned, motivated by?
You got a funny way of looking at things, kid. But I guess it's just about making sure people don't get what they don't deserve. And do get what they do deserve, I guess. I don't know. I didn't think I'd be waxing philosophical with the little kids, so philosophical. I don't know. Anyway, town's up ahead, I say, expecting to impart rapid I'm an adult advice, and then the kid's just like this scholar, and I'm just like, anyway, I'm a big adult and you're a kid, and I know what I'm talking about, and you don't. Let's go.
It's interesting. She seems touched by the interaction, but also a little intrigued. Mm-hmm. From what you can gather and from the brief conversations that sort of happened through the party, she's been exposed to a lot of debate and trade and a lot of very adult conversations. So she's sort of picked up on all those cues. But
she's not a girl. She's a little woman.
You whisper to yourself as you enter town. So you arrive to the town lying ahead of you, Fellbrook. And you can see the stream has sort of been picking up pace. It's connected with some of the creeks from the forest you've come out of, and it's a little bit more gushing, and you sort of see some watermill on the edge of town and a gate, and the bridge ahead, which has some weary travellers sort of getting their things together and ready to go through the gate. And it seems like there's been a bit of an exodus. Well, at least, you've seen it on the first end now. You're seeing stragglers. You're starting to overtake people, even though you've been on foot. A lot of these people have been kind of traumatized.
Wait, these are the people that have fled from
Felton.
Felton.
You're arriving to Fellbrook.
But
You've
no
left
one's fleeing
Felton.
Fellbrook.
No, you're
There,
arriving
okay.
to Fellbrook. It's sort of like the place people have been going to.
Does it look like this town's gonna struggle to keep these people, these refugees?
It's a fairly large village. I wouldn't say it's a large town, but it's definitely got at least 2 inns, and it's got a good sort of.
They'll manage.
Yeah, they're used to trade and travel, so they're used to accommodating people. Maybe not in this large group, but they've had some military groups travel through and lodge there at times. So they're not going to struggle, but it'll be full and busy.
Cool, great.
You enter town. There are a couple of militiamen, not grey guards, but just townspeople. Just look really befuddled, but resigned at this point. They've been dealing with this all day. It's like they sort of walk up. At this point, they've been questioning everyone as they enter. They step forward, and who's first in line, leading the group? All right.
I would say I was.
Who have we got here? Oh my God! Is that a? It's been a long day. Is he a? He looks at Brick. Is he a feeling cool? One of them slaves.
I kind of gesture because you can speak for yourself.
I am Brick.
Brick, eh? You look like one. Big one. You should be fine in these parts, but you're intending to travel further.
Yes, we are.
I see.
Delvin is strangely absent from this conversation. And if you know...
Everyone roll perception.
What time is it?
I'm going to say in layman's terms, it's like 6:30.
Is the
This
sun
town...
out?
It's almost snuffed.
Is
People
this-
are lighting torches and
But
stuff.
I don't get my perception bonus in darkness.
No.
Okay.
Is the
Not
town...
Not yet.
Is it walled?
Yeah, just some wooden
Palisade.
walls. Yeah, pretty much.
What's the
They sort
challenge
of
level?
utilise the river, so it's not walled along the river. But,
Yeah, what's the challenge level?
perception? Sorry, what was this for again?
You just made it.
Oh,
from-
for Delvin! Yes, sorry, my bad.
I'm not hiding.
Challenge
so
level.
it'll be-
Okay, I'd say challenge level 2 to notice.
Cool.
it's
We
not
both
here.
passed.
So you both noticed.
You both notice Delvin's gone.
Yeah.
Oh, you're just gone.
No, if you look around, are you looking around?
Yes.
So
I would be.
Can you tell me where you are?
yeah, so they spot Delvin. He kind of just stopped walking. When you're walking with a group and someone stops walking, and he's just sort of looking at the palisade and the wall, and he's walked off to the side of the road, and he's just got that a real look of he's somewhere else, and he's looking at the wall and turns and looks north. Paying no attention to the conversation with the guard.
Just as part of what I've been trained to do as a bodyguard, can I use a crowd control check just to make sure my party is safe?
More as a perception check sort of thing.
Well, I'm not sure. It's a keeping I don't know how busy it is. Are there people bustling past?
It's on the tail end of it. So really everyone's exhausted. Most people have gone through and are settled or settling.
Okay.
So you're sort of on the stragglers at the end of it. There are a couple of people who you've overtaken at the very end who maybe got a bit roughed up.
Yeah. I just want to make sure that people are kind of keeping their distance from my party.
Yeah. I'd say you manage that fairly effectively. If anything, everyone's taking quite a wide berth around Brick in the party.
Good.
Yeah. You don't even need a roll. You naturally control the crowd.
Okay.
But the guard turns to you and says, you intend to go travelling further?
Yes, we do.
what are your plans? If you don't mind me asking, I don't want to bother anyone, but trying to look after everyone. People seem displaced and don't want anyone making bad decisions, especially if it can come back to bite us.
I'm not going to tell him where we're going. I will say we intend to just travel further down. Not quite to IRONSPIRE, but along the way.
Very well. Your business is your business. Let me know if you need anything. Inn's over there, and so he points to different directions and stuff.
Thank you.
Sort of generally facilitates and says, otherwise, let me know if you need anything. Where I've heard there's a bit of a travelling military group that's going to be coming through in the morning, heading up Rafton Way. So, Felton Way.
Felton Way?
Well, I'm not quite sure. That's all the word I've gotten. Curious as to whether they're investigating or diminishing or expanding or...
Does this guy seem pretty genuine?
I'd say, yeah. He's exhausted, but he's
Yeah.
trying to look after people as
Yeah.
they come in.
I'll say to him, we did come from Felton. It's awful up there. Just, I would tell anyone just to be on guard.
I'm going to make a perception check for him. Could you... that was a 4. So he got 3. So he certainly notices that you're not from Felton.
Believe it or not.
And then he glances across and says, now that's the first Phelan I've seen in a long time. What, if you don't mind me asking, how did she...
I'm going to cut the conversation there and say, thank you for your help. You've been great. And just walk into the town.
Very well. Take care. And he moves on and sort of helps someone else set up their cart.
Cool. Did the woman and the couple that were with us, did they say anything?
As you start walking away, you hear some bickering rising in the background and they're talking to the cart. But she, as an option, had told you the name of her sister.
Okay.
And given a bit of a description of the town or whatever and stuff. So
Great.
along with the guards' help, you know you have a couple of options. One of the inns you've been told is full and burst at the seams, and that's the better option. Otherwise, from what you know, the other inn, the second inn, the spare inn, will be able to accommodate you, but there may not be many options as far as rooms goes. But her sister's place, they seem to have had fallings out in the past, so she's not entirely sure if she's welcome, but she's very well off. That's what you know.
Fair enough.
So you enter the town and you would know where to go for any of those things.
Are you still staying outside?
Delvin is standing outside.
Okay.
He hasn't even noticed.
So as the group starts moving in and Medela sort of tugs at Catalina's sleeve and says, is he coming or not?
I turn around and see you outside.
I'm probably like 15 meters away.
I turn to Brick and say, do you mind finding us lodgings for the night?
It is my experience people do not take too well to my kind.
Maybe just give it a shot. Try something new for once. See how you go.
Very well.
Yeah.
Oh boy, let's see how this goes. So we're splitting the party. Catalina approaches Delvin.
You okay?
Delvin's kneeled to the ground and pulls a flower out of the ground and is looking at it.
You right, buddy?
Sort of weak in posture, or how would you describe his demeanor?
Disarmed. Okay. And so you walk up.
Just a thought if you want to take it. But in a situation like this, Catalina, your character can ask how someone's feeling, but she can also tell exactly how someone's feeling. Just putting that out there.
Let's do that.
You want to give it a go? So you
cast
can
a
ask
spell
him,
on
but
me.
you can also give that the old crack. So it's a challenge number 1. You have 3 dice.
Yes.
Nailed it. So you ask, and this is something I'm going to say you're quite used to doing. You'll ask people how they're feeling, but then you'll know exactly how they're feeling. And that also will often tell you if they're being deceptive
Yep.
or sort of, trying to keep it down or
Sure.
want to let it out.
Sure.
Gives you a really clear gauge. So you ask,
I won't
what
bother
do you...
rolling deception then. So
Do you
Delvin-
if you want to deceive, you can. And then that will be a bonus on her perception.
in this instance, I think it's fine. I'll be disarmed, and you can just know.
What do you say?
So
And what does he feel?
Delvin looks up and he's like, "Oh, Catalina, what? What did you say?"
Is everything all right?
So I'll play it through
Yeah.
and then I'll afterwards explain.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, everything's fine. Just a fine flower, fine town. Haven't been back here in a while is all. And then I stand up and turn on you and like brush myself down a little bit. But so Delvin is feeling like hollowed out, mournful and lost, and you're getting a strong sense of like yearning for like childhood and that nostalgia. And there's a lot of pain and like bad stuff in this place.
I put my hand on your shoulder and I say, I know how awful it can be going back to the place that you call home and the things aren't the same like they were before.
Delvin's brow furrows and he looks slightly Can I percept, because I never told her this is my home. So can I like perception check that feels odd that she would know that?
Did you say home, or I think you refer
said
to a
home.
place of pain?
I
or-
said home, yeah.
She said to
Yeah,
return
that's
to your
fine.
home.
I'm more
How
referring
did you
to.
know that?
I didn't.
Okay.
She's because the feelings in my body are so
Yeah, okay.
rooted in
I-
homecoming.
I was more relating to myself.
Yeah.
Where I'm
Okay.
saying that like a place that's familiar to you, which I'm trying to say that my home, I once got home and my dad wasn't there.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's kind of.
Okay.
But you're
Sort
more
of-
than welcome to make that role.
Well, you could, and you could aid your own by sort of affecting his emotion a little bit if you wanted to.
Okay. So who rolls first then?
It's up to you. Like, what are your intentions?
I'm
Let's sort of lay that
suspicious.
out.
You roll first.
Okay.
This is my perception check.
You
Only
got two. Okay. If you want to aid your persuasion, you can do that with your special skills if you would like. I'd say it's challenge level 1 for it to not cost anything.
Okay. Sure. So do I have to pick what I
Well-
change it to, or?
Pretty much, I would assume in this case it would be more of a softening. So it's like someone being, what's the word you use? Curious, not curious, skeptical.
Yeah. I'm suddenly suspicious because
Suspicious,
of what you
thank
said.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that sort of that's like a sharp emotion. It's sort of like a sharp turning towards that you can sort of soften that
Okay.
impulse.
Great, let's do that.
Yeah. So I'd just say challenge level 1, roll your 3 dice. Great, you got 3 successes. Bam. I'm going to say anything over the challenge level. I still need to figure this stuff out. But
I'm happy to just roll with role play.
I'm going to give you
role-play
plus
heavy.
2 to a persuasion.
I'm happy for it not to. Like, I'm happy to
okay.
just swing with it, especially with into character.
Yeah.
It's not really a fight. We're in the
Fair
same
enough.
party.
Yeah.
So if you,
I'll
I don't need
I'll
the
say that
mechanic.
your impulse would normally be to be quite suspicious.
I feel that she just dulled that, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like pang of suspicion, and then immediately like, oh no, I'm probably just being
Misheard.
hyper defensive.
100%.
Okay. Home. Right. I never said this was my home, but good intuition, Catalina. I guess you got there. I did grow up here. It's been a while since I've stayed. I tend to avoid it.
Look, I'd say we're friends now, right? I mean, we've only met each other a day ago, not even. But if you need someone to do this with you, I'm happy to. Okay, why are you laughing at me?
Delvin takes you're reading. Is she actively constantly reading my thoughts?
Not thoughts, feelings. It's like
Feelings.
the shape of where you're at.
just trying to be
Delvin's eyes dart down and up when you say we're friends now, and you immediately get the sense of him being like, "Ooh, friends, are we?" Like as he clearly like you're a beautiful Thanisian
Yeah,
woman.
I'm going to say when you've read someone's emotions, you're tapped into the shape of it as it's constantly
God.
moving. So you feel that swelling of like.
It's a soft. It's not like a. It's just like
Oh, is this
girl,
one of
this
those
girl thinks I'm a
moments right
friend.
now?
Like and Delvin's just like well,
You
I guess we are.
You feel like the spiritual essence equivalent of like. Mm.
And then I'm gonna just say that like I'm happy to help you as a friend. Not that loudly, but like as friends, yeah.
I don't think there's much you can help me with. It's old wounds and all that. But anyway, where'd the big guy go?
He's gone to go find somewhere for us to stay for the night.
I'm going to shift away to Brick. You've been described 2 places that you can go find accommodation for your group in. Medela is by your side, with no idea where to go or what to say, and looking at you expectantly.
Do I know where to go?
I would ask you to head into this town and find us a place to stay, as the lady has requested.
Yeah, no, but do I know where?
You know the 2 places you can walk to. It's been described.
Okay,
You
cool.
can know-
Yeah. I head to one of them, the closest one of them.
The closest of the 2 is the baker's sister's place.
Oh, I thought it was an inn. An inn.
There are 2 places. There's the Spare Inn, which isn't very nice from what you could tell, and the Wealthy Sister's house,
Go to the wealthy sister.
who lives nearby. Quite a well looked after and established place. You see a shop front with lots of very fine dresses. And it seems to be a place that has very much benefited from the sort of tail end of trade with Felmore and Thanicia, both with the silks and cottons from Thanicia and the golds the woven golds. So there's some really interesting sort of more local designs fashion-wise, but really quite ornate, high-quality product that is not native to the general area. You recognise the stuff simply because of the Phelan connection to stuff, but the place is quite built up, and there is a lit upstairs homestead above the shop. So you notice this door at the side of the shop that you can sort of head down this small little alleyway.
This is the baker's family, yeah?
Yeah, so it's a tailor's shop. It's a
Okay.
sort of tapestry and tailoring. There's some art areas, and like within the shop you can see through the window there's like, you know, some tapestry and cross-stitch artworks and all this stuff, and then there seems to be 2 styles. There's like clothing and woven clothing, and then there's also art and tapestries.
I walk in the front door.
The front door is locked.
I knock on the front door.
You knock on the door of the shop.
Yeah?
Okay. All right.
Destiny roll 16.
Thank you. Sorry, I need to get used to doing that again. Bit of time passes. You notice like there's a little bit of rattling of the windows as you knock the downstairs door. Large wooden oak door. Mm-hmm. A moment passes. You probably give it another knock or so. The woman opens the door. Like, what's the meaning of it? And she looks up, yeah, to see a very tall Phalancool. Are you still wearing your silks and stuff? Yeah. Okay. So you were dressed like a Phalancool, holding a giant axe. Okay, I'm going to make another destiny roll to see how she receives this. She's startled for sure. She doesn't look panicked. I think she has enough family and trade in Felton to know that you're not an immediate threat, but you're certainly an unexpected sight. And there's a small Phelan girl by your side. Well, go on.
Greetings, mistress. My companions and the loud, angry lady have sent us for lodgings.
She laughs to herself and says, so you've met Sienna then? She's not coming here, is she?
I do not know.
Was she with you?
She did follow us,
She
yes.
bloody well will be, won't she? God damn, get in before the screeching can be heard.
Very well.
And she shouts out behind and says, Tayo, come on down. Sister's coming. You need to defer her. Make sure she has a place at the inn. I don't want her anywhere near the kids. And they just have this little exchange. But a man comes down with like sort of glasses on. He seems to, have some stitching things in his hands that he sort of puts down on the bench and goes, we're closed. What are you talking about? This whole thing that's been happening, of course she's coming, so just make sure she doesn't come here. Oh, yes, very well. Who is this gentleman? Yeah, who, may I ask, are you?
My name is Brick. This is the littlest one.
Poor dearies. I heard what happened to your town. Awful, awful thing.
It was not our town.
Well, that's fair. But the place that you were living, there was an encampment, wasn't there?
There was a place on the edge of the city that was destroyed. My companions and brethren and our party was staying there.
Now listen, I'm willing to take you in, as long as there's no trouble. But I just want to make sure that you're set up overnight. I've heard there's a lot of wounded and hurt people, but people of your types may not find some friendly places to stay. So you'll find some comfortable beds to get you through the night before you decide your next move. Poor things, not sure what your options are, really. This King of Flames business. She sort of tisks. What's the word? Not tits. Tisks.
Tisk is correct.
She tits and walks away. She tisks. That one.
Got there.
Turns around. Says, like I said, we've got a downstairs, fairly comfortable back room. We can feed you in the morning. But, you'll want to be careful with your next move because tensions are high. She seems quite familiar with the trading relationship between the common Graydon and Barrowan and then, of course, the Phelan trading camp. So she's acting quite concerned at the people.
Yep.
You lucked into a particularly good arrangement. So there you go. Medela looks at you and goes, you're very good at arranging and interacting with formalities for a Phelan Co.
Truth be told, mistress, this is the first time I've ever encountered this or attempted this.
Maybe you've got a natural knack for it. That could be useful.
Maybe.
Should we let the others know we have a place to stay?
That is best. We should go and fetch them.
So you head out the door, and just as Catalina and Delvin are sort of walking in from the gate area, how's Delvin feeling at this point? I'm going to say this will be the last dregs of your role, Catalina, as far as feeling his emotion without actively doing it again. But where does that tail off?
A bit more open. In fact, as he walks into the town, I gesture to a tree on sort of in the town, in the walls. And the bottom of the tree, sort of midway down, is blackened. But the tree survived. And I gesture to it and say, see that one there? That was next to my house when it went up.
You were in a fire.
The Grey Guard, a long time ago, decided, I don't know why, but they pushed us out of the town, and those buildings on the outskirts got the torches. There's a little send-off for us. It looks like the town's grown a bit since then, though, and the walls are now... Well, we didn't have walls back then.
Yeah. I'm going to say that it's a very different place to what you remember. The general layout is familiar to you.
Because this would have been before a lot of...
Yeah, there's a lot... Since a lot of trade has picked up and it's sort of re-established, it's been more Graydonized, I guess I could say. It used to be a much more simple river town.
Yeah, that's
run
what
by
I'm
the
thinking.
Barrowans, yeah. So it was a very carefree place in your memory. It's now a very... compared to what you remember, it feels a lot bigger.
Yeah. I was immediately
Which is
thinking
interesting.
that.
You usually visit your childhood places and it feels smaller because you're bigger and they felt so big when you were small. But this is the opposite. This is a very strange feeling. That's something that in your memory is so intimate, seems to be a real place of commerce and industry, and sort of just moved on from that sentimentality.
So I pictured it would have been a sort of a collection of like 24 houses along the river and in a particular spot as a settlement.
Yeah,
and then
more
the
of a farm.
fringe one, yeah.
There was
fringe
a fishery and now it's like these are places that produce goods and import and export and all that.
And then I spot... Oh, you want to say something?
Oh, what of your family?
Oh, they were making a statement. They weren't trying to start a war, and they didn't kill anyone, but they forced us to flee without our stuff. So they're alive in the barrows, thankfully, but we didn't grow up with much. Certainly not the freedom that we were used to. I gestured to like the wide plains and forests and stuff.
That is unfortunate.
You see ahead of you, out of very nice looking home with a shop front. Brick step out and Medela trailing behind, and he sort of looks in your direction.
Hey, Brick. Knew you could do it. Good job.
I have obtained lodgings for us,
Fantastic.
and the house mistress has dealt with the loud, angry woman. She will be staying in alternative accommodation.
Oh. Right. Great.
You've done an exceptional job. We've managed to steal her relative's lodging. This is the best possible arrangement you could have come up with, Brick. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Thank you, Master.
I'm kind of impressed too.
And to think they waste your talents being a guard. You got so much more potential.
No one's ever said anything like that about you. Speechless.
The steam starts to come out the ears. All right, we'll head over to the house.
Turn around and you are welcomed in and shown a downstairs room. It seems that she has a soft spot for foreigners in particular. Anyone who, as she starts to discuss and sort of open up, especially as there are no Graydens among you, she's got some clear biases against the king and the kingdom, and with what's happened, she's angry. So she's quite happy to take it out in secret by welcoming some refugees and some foreigners and look after them. But she's promised you lodging for the night, food in the morning, and maybe a couple of supplies as you journey, but has recommended you don't head in towards IRONSPIRE. You can sort of question her in the morning about, anything else, but otherwise she seems pretty keen to just sort of get you guys settled and head back. I think she's got some business to attend to with her husband, especially with some relatives nearby. So
I have a request for her.
I also
Yep.
have a request, but you go
Okay.
first, yeah.
She's Taylor, right?
so from what you can gather, she does the dressmaking, and her husband does a lot of these little artworks and stuff, which,
So just women's clothes?
mostly, yeah, sort of elegant. It's a very artistic shop, very feminine aesthetic.
Yeah.
But there are some refined men's clothes, more formal clothes.
But it's, not common clothes.
No, this is a specialty shop, and she's
Okay.
done very well for their skills. And she obviously married someone with matching, complementary skills, I'll say, and they've made it really successful together.
I'm going to ask, do you know anyone who can put together some outfit for our large companion? He's standing out like a sore thumb.
Well, that'd be quite easy, I imagine. What do you have in mind?
Just some traveling clothes, maybe something a little bit less. I know we can't go hiding that it's a Phalankill, that's obvious, but at a distance, those silks shine in the sun. So I don't know. It just
Maybe a nice grey colour or a nice
Brick's lowly
brown.
clothes are a sign of his meager station.
your what clothes?
My lowly clothes are a sign of my meager station.
Yeah, these are his these are the cheap guard outfits. Yeah, she gets sort of your meaning and sort of says, "Oh, so you're looking for subtle? I can do that. You cover my material costs, and I'll whip something up tonight for you. No problem." She
Absolutely.
shows you around the shop and the material options, and you get to pick a few linens out. She says, "Look, it won't be anything fancy, but I'm happy to help you out, especially if you insist on travelling against the grain, as it were, towards the bloody king. Mad people." Anyway,
Clothes must not obstruct movement.
what about this one? She looks concerned at Medela with very ragged, very baggy, bulky sort of men's clothing. That one I'll do for free.
I'm gonna say
I'd offer for that one for free, but it's gonna cost me 7 rolls of linen. So
I sort of shrug and I say, "Don't worry, I can pay. I make a fine bit of coin along these trade routes, or I used to. I'm not worried about the cost.
very well, I appreciate that.
You're giving us hospitality. The least we can do is give you some business."
Great. She seems grateful. In a slightly she's definitely doing you a favor. She's acting like that, but she's interested in helping. You make yourselves comfortable, and she sort of has potted off and has dealt with things, and you guys get to stay the night in a fairly comfortable place.
thank
And you'll
God.
wake up in the morning. But that's probably we're gonna leave off this episode, except to say that you do hear whisperings between the husband and wife overnight about reiterating something that the guard sort of alluded to, that they're expecting arrivals in the morning and how to prepare for that, and they seem concerned, but they're not discussing it with you guys. You sort of, it's the sort of thing you gather through hearing through walls and things like that. So it's probably something to mull over as we approach our next chapter.
Cool.
Great.
Doesn't Catalina have a ritual she needs to do?
Tomorrow morning.
In the morning.
In the morning,
Okay.
yeah.
I don't know if you'd already done it for that day.
No?
It's okay.
Cool. That brings us to the end of chapter 2.
Yay!
Thank you all so much for watching and joining us. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. What a journey. Literally. That's all it was. Big journey.
Hey,
Big walk.
that's part of the adventure.
Absolutely. So it takes me back to classic D&D games. It's like half the game is definitely going from A to B.
And the other half of the game is combat.
That's
Yes.
Hey, we gotta do a patron scroll.
true. We do. We're going to do a patron scroll. Thank you so much to our patrons. Wait, is it showing up? Yes, it is. How
I wonder if it's still in Spanish.
We
Thank you, patrons.
Thank you,
I'm
patrons.
sorry we
Thank
missed
you,
patrons in the
patrons.
first chapter, just because of the whole new setup. It slipped my mind. But me pregunto que harán si cambio el idioma.
Well
Thank
done.
you.
the Dark Fox.
Professor X.
Raynaya.
Tickle Duck.
AJ Macy, thank you for your support.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all so much. This has been really fun.
And to all our other lovely patrons.
Oh, everyone who supported us. I hope you're able to enjoy and sort of feel where your support has gone. We're putting a lot into trying to make this all as vibrant and visceral as possible. And you can see a lot of that in the World Anvil page. The link is in the description. Thank you to them for sponsoring this video. And of course, in the portraits and stuff. Oh, I should mention, and I can say this now, we have an artist who works with us 1 day a week. 1 day a week. We have an artist who works with us on site. She comes here and she paints portraits and creates cool stuff. There is actually a
I was going to say, did you guys notice the thumbnail for episode 1?
Yeah, I know, right? And this one, because we're doing like custom crafted thumbnails, because we get to do that now. That is the sort of way we're getting to really put back into the content, you know, and that's really what it's all about. All the support that goes into Tabletop Time goes into Tabletop Time and making it better. So thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you guys
See you
later.
next episode.
Bye.